long-range gunfights can be extremely hard in Warzone if you have the wrong equipment. Well, don't worry. In this video today, it's going to break it up in two parts. First of all, we're going to give you all the data that I have that shows what is the best long-range gun to be using inside of Warzone, and two, practical application, how to apply that loadout to your playstyle. Let's do it. Part 1, GGs.AI, I believe has the best data on the internet for what you're going to need for your loadouts. First of all, if you haven't gone there, go check it out, GGs.AI. It is ran by creators for casual players like us who are looking to get better at the game and get the best loadouts possible. And you know what? They make it quite easy to read as well. That's super good for me. I like things that are easy to read. And hey, if you are one of my subscribers, they are giving me a 20% discount code I will put in the description below so you can get a discount. All right, let me show you GGs.AI. This is how I get the data, and they are backed up by all the data they could need, but it's really great. You go into GGs.AI, we got your top menu here, but the big thing is you want to go over and you go to weapons, and then you go to weapons and you build out what you want to use. I'm looking at long range weapons today. I want to make sure I'm giving you the best long range weapons that I've tested and how I feel. So we're going to go up the top here on your overall, right? So I have long range, I'm small map, so Area 99 or Rebirth. You can put in big map for Battle Royale if you like. And I always put in balanced playstyle. Now, you know you the best. You can do casual, tactical, aggressive, whatever you think's best. I think balance fits most people, most players. And then you got your menu on the left-hand side here. And one thing that I like, you can look at overall and it gives you every stat you can ever imagine, but let's break it down a little bit more granular here, and let's just go time to kill. And if you're not familiar with time to kill, that is the time to kill it takes from when you pull the trigger to when it hits the operator and the operator dies. That's the basics for doing it. What I really like here is the weighted TTK, because what that is, it takes all the TTKs of each weapon, factoring in things like range, recoil, and more, to give you a pretty close to accurate TTK than just saying, here's the TTK on paper, because you got to factor in gunshots. Are you hitting head, chest, leg? What's the average? All of that. They do all that work for you. You don't need to do all the math and get all calculator-like. They do it for you, which is great. And they have a visualization guide here. So as you can see, I've loaded up 6 of the ARs that I like, and they show me the TTK on the right with a visual thing here, which is great. Then you can go down to the chart if you're a big chart person. What I really like is that key ranges, because that is the biggest thing, right? And you got to think, let's look at these. So the XM4 right now has been getting a lot of hype, especially with that buffer stock. And we'll get into builds here in just a little bit. The TTK is 834 at 20 meters. Like, okay, because you're probably doing SMG up to 15 meters and then you're switching out. 988 at 35, 1332 at 50. Now anything past 50 on a big map, everything's kind of real slow. I mean, the AK at 1292, but it's got a lot of recoil, so we're gonna build it later, but I'll show you how to minimize that recoil. It would be faster at above 50. So like that's a big map gun right there. It depends on how many gunfights you're taking past 15 meters. Now, for being fair, the average player is taking on a small map more gunfights under 50 meters than past 50 meters. So what I like to look at is this meter right here, TTK at 35. This right here, between these two is kind of the heavy column that I like to look at. Okay, now I know, looking at this, the BP50 is at 928 and the XM4 is at 988. Okay, so statistically, 928 is going to be faster. Not much. Think about it. It's a millisecond. It's not a second. So it's like 60 milliseconds faster. I'm like, okay, take that in consideration. Then I take a look at the builds, right? You got Mr. Marvel TV builds here, Cup of Joe, GG's AI's builds are in here as well. They're all tried and true and tested, and you can look at them all in there. So then you kind of get a visual representation. What I also like is the versus simulator. Now this thing's pretty cool. Think about this. This feature simulates 1,000 gunfights with these loadouts, and they randomly generate fight distance, health, ADS, sprint to fire, shot locations. Pretty cool. Now they give you how many they've won, right? So long range, looks like the GPR 91 is at 213, but the MTZ 556 at 213. That's interesting because the GPR is getting pretty hyped. Everybody's talking about it on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, Facebook Reels. It's pretty hyped by everybody. But if you look at the stats, we might have forgot about the 5.56. And then the AK-74 is right there, and the XM4 is coming right here. You know, recoil's a little bit harder to manage on the 7.4. The buffer stock makes this thing like a laser beam as well. So like I said, we'll get to builds in a second, but I think the Versus Simulator is worth looking at. You can also look at firepower, mobility. I mean, it shows you everything on here. You can select different maps, Nuketown, Rebirth Island, all of this if you want to get super deep. And I appreciate GG's AI giving us all this ability. So that's where the data is coming from. Let's go look at the builds. It's come to my attention that some of you have not hit that subscribe button yet. So let's take a second before we get into these builds, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on. All right, you've done it. I appreciate it. Let's get into these builds. Let's get into our ARs, the GPR91 in our build here. This thing, you're gonna see a lot of consistency through a lot of the builds. I've changed them up a little bit, but let's run through it. Willis 3X optic, suppressor, because I want off the mini map. Reinforced barrel, because on this one, I want the damage and the bullet velocity together. Vertical foregrip for the horizontal recoil control. The extended mag 2 for 60 rounds. And I have the quick draw grip for ADS, the heavy stock for balance, and the NATO pressure for more bullet velocity. This thing barely moves. Very consistent gun, as you can see, and you're only taking gunfights. Look, that's 25, that's 10, and then keep in mind, that's 50 when you're looking at it. So those are the three ranges you're taking gunfights in. That's what you need to build it for, and that is your build for the GPR91. Now let's look at the XM4, and you can see from the video here, it is one of my favorite guns, and with that new buffer weight stock, it doesn't move from a recoil control standpoint. Let's take a look at this build. I switched up the optic for the Jason Armory 2X. I like that a little bit better. It just depends on the gun. The Willis 3X works well too, but hey, it's your eyes, you're looking through it. Pick the optic that looks best for you. Just know the ranges of gunfight. Suppressor, because I want to stay off the mini map, and I didn't think the recoil control was anything else manageable here. Gain twist barrel, because I wanted to go up to 1260 bullet velocity. Vertical foregrip for the horizontal recoil, extended mag for 60 rounds, quick draw grip for ADS, buffer weight stock because they gave it to us, so why don't we use it? It's overpowered. The 5.56 NATO overpressure for bullet velocity, and I'm telling you guys, this thing hits like a truck and it's easy to control. It is pure meta right now between the GPR91 and this gun. It is super easy to use. Let's look at the BP50. I know what you're thinking. That's a Modern Warfare 3 gun, Puff. You're right, it is, and it's viable, and it works great, and you will love using it. Let me give you the loadout. Some of it looks familiar, some of it might be new. Quartermaster suppressor, Lore 9 heavy barrel, 45 round mag, the heavy stock, and the high grain rounds. No optic on this, but if you want to run an optic, go ahead and take that stock off and put the optic of your choice, but it works really well at all the way up to about 50 meters here, because I said before, most of your gunfights are going to be within the 50 meters, unless you're using a sniper. But you still can see that target. If you can't see it with your eyes, definitely put an optic on and remove the stock. Let's talk about the AK-74. This thing is a fast killing gun. In the first 20 meters, you're at 800 TTK. But let me give you the loadout. Willis 3X, compensator, like I said before, because you're gonna need it for the recoil control. Reinforced barrel, vertical foregrip for the horizontal recoil control, 50 round mag on the mag 2. Don't ask me why they did it for that one. Quick draw for ADS, heavy stock for balance, and recoil springs, because this thing can be bouncy, but if you can control it, you're in a good spot. Let's take a look. Yep, hits pretty well, right on target. Make sure you're using your left stick to aim, not right stick, called rotational aim assist. So when you're in here, you're doing this with your left, you're not moving your right, you're letting that take over control. So the AK-74, that's your build. Let's talk about the MTZ-556, and this one's a sneaky one. Now let me run your memory here. Jack Glassick optic, quartermaster suppressor, Clinch Pro barrel, 50 round drum, and the Marauder stock. This thing doesn't move, guys. And if you remember, it got buffed like 6 times in a row and not nerfed. So it's still super effective on the AR meta here and is very, very competible against the other guns. If you remember in the beginning of the video, we took a look at that. So let's run the MTZ-556 and let's enjoy this gun. Last but not least, we have to talk about a sniper rifle for my snipers in the community. I love sniping, it's a lot of fun. The Frostline LW3A1, or I call it Frosty, works great. It's my favorite sniper in the game. Let me give you the build. I run the normal optic that's built in, no need to change it. Suppressor to stay off the mini-map, gain twist barrel for bullet velocity, lightweight pad, and you're probably thinking, why lightweight pad? Let me show you. Aiming idle sway. That is hugely important with snipers, because once you aim down sight, you don't want it moving left and right. You want it dead center. Lightweight pad takes care of it. Target laser, again, you're reinforcing that aiming idle sway delay and the aim walking steadiness. On a sniper, it's important. And then the NATO overpressure rounds for the bullet velocity. And this thing works really fun. I've gotten a lot of good snipes. Let's take a look. Look, this is 50 meters, really clear, but what I was talking about is, look, when I aim, it's not swaying, it's staying there. That's why you want that. You don't want it to move, you want to just be there. You don't want it swaying back and forth. So it makes it easier to lock onto your target. When don't even get me started on why this doesn't let you down dummies in the firing range. They didn't fix that. But even down all the way to 100 meters, you're still able to lock on. So that is your build. You will enjoy the Frostline. And hey guys, if you like videos like this, go ahead, click or touch the screen now and watch this next video about the $1 controller versus the $500 controller, because it was a lot of fun.